What happens when someone who feels invisible online begins to believe that the internet is the only place where they matter? This is the disturbing true crime story of a young man named Randy, a small YouTuber from Pennsylvania, whose obsession with cartoons, online attention, and violent fantasy slowly turned into something far darker. This story is not told to praise him, excuse him, or give him attention. It is a warning about isolation, obsession, untreated anger, and the danger of ignoring obvious signs before tragedy happens. Randy was still a teenager when his story began. He lived in Pennsylvania, and from the outside he looked like a quiet, awkward young man trying to find his place in the world. He struggled socially. He found it hard to connect with people, make friends, or feel accepted. Like many young people who feel alone, he escaped into entertainment. He watched cartoons. He watched videos online. And slowly, YouTube became more than just a hobby to him. It became the one space where he felt important. In 2008, Randy decided to start his own YouTube channel. At first, his videos were simple: vlogs, comedy sketches, random clips. The kind of content many young creators post when they are still trying to figure out who they are. His channel was not huge, but it did grow a small audience. To most people, a few hundred subscribers might not seem like much, but to Randy, it meant everything. It made him feel noticed. It made him feel like he had a place. And for someone who felt invisible in real life, that small online attention became powerful. As time passed, Randy became deeply attached to his channel. It was not just something he did for fun anymore. It became his identity. In real life, he felt small. Online, he could create a version of himself that seemed more confident, more interesting, and more in control. But the problem was that YouTube was not giving him the future he wanted. He dreamed of becoming successful. He wanted his videos to make him famous. He wanted people to admire him, but that never really happened. His channel remained small, and as his dream failed to grow, his frustration grew with it. Around 2010, Randy's parents began pushing him to take responsibility for his life. He was getting older, still living at home and spending much of his time online. His father told him he needed to get a job and start becoming independent. Randy did not take that well. He did not want a normal job. He did not want to work under other people. In his mind, he believed he was meant for something bigger, but eventually he got a job at a supermarket. And that job would become one of the biggest targets of his anger. Randy worked at the supermarket for years. He stocked shelves, cleaned aisles, and did regular store work. But instead of seeing it as a normal job, he saw it as proof that the world had failed him. He felt trapped there. He hated the routine. He hated his coworkers. He hated being told what to do. And most of all, he hated that this was his life while his YouTube dream was still going nowhere. Over time, his anger became more serious. He wrote disturbing thoughts in journals. He blamed other people for his unhappiness. He believed others looked down on him, even while he saw himself as superior. His anger also became hateful. He wrote offensive and cruel things about different groups of people. He blamed his father for forcing him into adult responsibility. He blamed the people at work for making him feel small. But the truth was, Randy's anger was not really about one job or one person. It was about a deep feeling of failure. And instead of dealing with that pain in a healthy way, he allowed it to grow into resentment. By 2013, Randy was still working at the same supermarket. He was still living at home. His YouTube channel still had not become successful. And then he became obsessed with a cartoon called Danny Phantom. The show featured a character named Ember McLean, a ghost girl with a rebellious rock star personality. For Randy, Ember became more than just a fictional character. He became emotionally attached to her. Soon, his YouTube content changed. His videos became darker. His online world became centered around ghosts, death, fantasy characters, and violent ideas. He started creating his own animated fan project called Ember's Ghost Squad. On the surface, it looked like a fan-made cartoon idea. But the story he created was disturbing. It involved ghost girls killing humans and included themes that made other creators uncomfortable. Randy reached out to independent animators, hoping they would help bring his project to life. But when they saw the direction of the story, many refused. They did not want to be part of something that seemed to glorify violence. Each rejection pushed Randy further into his own fantasy world. As Randy became more isolated, his connection to reality seemed to weaken. He started treating his fictional characters as if they were real. He believed he had a special bond with Ember. He even seemed to believe that she loved him back. To him, the real world was disappointing. The cartoon world felt perfect. In his mind, he did not belong with ordinary people. He belonged somewhere else in the ghost world he had built inside his imagination. This is where his obsession became dangerous. He was no longer simply a fan of a cartoon. He was building an entire identity around it. At the same time, Randy also became fascinated with real-life school shooters, especially the Columbine attackers. He did not see them as warnings. He saw them as figures to admire. That is one of the most disturbing parts of this story. Because when someone begins combining isolation, hatred, fantasy, and admiration for past violence, the danger becomes very real. By 2017, Randy's behavior had become deeply alarming. He obtained firearms with the help of his mother, who may not have understood how dangerous his mindset had become. After getting them, Randy was excited. He posted videos. He wrote disturbing things in private. He left signs that suggested he was thinking about death and violence, but those warnings were missed. His parents did not find some of what he had written. His online viewers did not understand how serious he was becoming. And even when he uploaded disturbing content, it did not lead to intervention in time. Randy continued working at the supermarket. He continued making videos. He continued living in the fantasy world he had created. And eventually, he decided he no longer wanted to live in the real world at all. In his mind, death was not just an ending. He believed it was a way to enter the ghost world and become the version of himself he imagined. But then he faced a choice. Would he die alone, or would he take innocent people with him? That choice should never have existed. But in Randy's twisted thinking, it became part of his plan. Before the attack, Randy uploaded disturbing videos online. Some of them hinted at what he was planning. Some showed his obsession with his ghost characters. Some mixed fantasy with real-world violence in a way that should have raised alarms. He also made one final upload connected to his animated project. To anyone watching closely, the signs were there. But no one stopped him. On the day of the attack, Randy went to the supermarket where he had worked for years. His coworkers were not enemies. They were ordinary people doing their jobs. They had families, futures, and lives that mattered. But Randy had spent years turning his workplace into a symbol of everything he hated. That night, his fantasy and anger became real. He attacked his coworkers and killed 3 innocent people before taking his own life. 3 lives were stolen because of one man's obsession, hatred, and collapse into violent fantasy. In stories like this, people often focus too much on the killer. They analyze his videos. They repeat his strange beliefs. They talk about his obsessions. But the most important people in this story are not Randy and his fantasy world. The most important people are the victims. They were not characters in his story. They were real human beings. They did not deserve to be dragged into his anger. They did not deserve to become part of his final act. That is why true crime stories like this must be handled carefully, because the killer wanted attention. He wanted to be remembered. He wanted his online identity and fictional world to mean something. But the truth is simple. He was not a hero. He was not misunderstood genius. He was a dangerous, angry person who ignored reality until innocent people paid the price. This case is disturbing because it shows how many warning signs can exist before tragedy happens. Randy was isolated. He was obsessed with online fame. He hated his job. He wrote violent thoughts. He admired past killers. He mixed fantasy with real-life violence. He posted disturbing content online. And still, the danger was not stopped in time. This does not mean every lonely person is dangerous. It does not mean every cartoon fan or small YouTuber is a threat. But it does show that when isolation turns into hatred, and hatred turns into planning, people around that person must take it seriously. Online platforms, families, friends, and communities all need to understand that disturbing behavior should not be ignored simply because it happens on the internet. Sometimes the warning signs are not hidden. Sometimes they are posted in public. Randy wanted YouTube to make him feel important. But when success did not come, he became bitter. He escaped into cartoons, then into fantasy, then into obsession, and finally into violence. His story is not about fame. It is about what can happen when anger, loneliness, and delusion are left unchecked. And the saddest part is that innocent people lost their lives because someone who wanted to feel powerful chose destruction instead of help. This story should be remembered not for the killer, but for the warning signs people missed, and for the victims whose lives should never have been taken. May they be remembered with respect.